welcome to this episode of Low Carb in the Leaves. I am Dr. Mary Barson from Real Life Medicine. At Real Life Medicine, Dr. Lucy Burns and myself, we are devoted to our food philosophy of real food. It's our job to help people to get healthy, to lose weight, to improve their blood sugar control. Hi, Susan. To reclaim their health, basically. We're about so much more than just losing weight. We are about reclaiming health. And an enormous part of that, really the linchpin to our entire philosophy, is real food. So this week, we'll be going into what is real food and what isn't. I'm amazed. I'm just astounded at how toxically bad our food environment has been allowed to become. There are so many processed foods available that are unhealthy, that they are at a mismatch with what our bodies have evolved to cope with. And if you want to be healthy, not only do you have to do the obvious, which is avoid the discretionary foods. I love that polite nickname for junk food, the discretionary foods that are aggressively marketed to us, that are extremely palatable and extremely delicious, and everywhere we go, you need to avoid the chips and the chocolate and the ice cream, the soft drink. Everybody knows you have to do that. But more than that, if you actually want to be well, you also need to avoid foods that we are told are healthy. You need to basically ignore the healthy star rating. You need to take with an enormous buckets and buckets and buckets of salt anything that the Heart Foundation endorses. And indeed, if you are someone who is obese, overweight, has got metabolic disease, then even then, the cookie cutter approach dietary guidelines, unfortunately, are very rarely any help for someone who is suffering obesity. If you're someone who is naturally slim and you eat, the way that the food pyramid or the healthy plate guidelines suggest, then you'll probably stay naturally slim. But if you are someone who's got metabolic disease, then the healthy plate guidelines are not really your friend at all. So it's hard. You've really got to swim upstream. And this is what drives me and Lucy to do what we do. And our philosophy is pretty simple. It's eating real food. Food as close as possible to its natural form, when it was taken from the animal, taken from the plant, without any of these chemical additives and fillers that has become this enormous big food industry that is sadly in bed with many of our governing bodies that are supposed to be looking out for our health. So anyway, today I'm going to start off talking about seed oils. Seed oils fascinate me as much as they infuriate me, and they infuriate me a lot. So seed oils are these highly industrialized, processed oils that are made in big factories where they manage to squeeze out the oil from seeds like cottonseed, canola or rapeseed, safflower seed, sunflower seed. And these seed oils have been rebranded as vegetable oils to give them this kind of added glow of health. But they're actually astoundingly bad for us. And there's a growing body of evidence that supports this claim that seed oils are detrimental to our health. And yet they've been marketed to us for decades as healthy. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into seed oils now. Seed oils first came into the human diet really in the 1900s. Before then, they'd never been eaten. Cottonseed oil was used to light lamps. It was used as a fuel for that. And then but around about that time, petroleum was found and it was found to be a better light for lighting lamps. So cottonseed oil kind of was forgotten about for a little while. This all started in America. So back in 1970, these two soap makers called Procter and Gamble decided to get into the soap making business. And at that time, soap was usually made with animal fats like pork lard. But this was also about the time when there was this languishing cottonseed oil industry, because nobody was using cottonseed for their lamps anymore because petroleum products worked better. And so they saw an opportunity to make soap out of cottonseed oil. All good so far? Yep, sounds good to me. But sort of in the process, these two entrepreneurial men discovered that they could take cottonseed oil, and by a process, a dangerous process called hydrogenation, they could get the cottonseed oil to sort of look a bit like lard, like cooking lard, and they marketed it as Crisco. And that was the first sort of seed oil, but it was a solid fat cooking lard. So Crisco was available for Americans to eat in the 1900s. And other seed oils soon followed, soybean oil, canola oil, and they discovered they were pretty cheap to make. And if they processed them appropriately, didn't actually taste all that bad, and people would tolerate them. So it was like this birth of this new industry. But then a whole lot of other sort of coincidences all came at once. These guys, Procter and Gamble, bequeathed a lot of money, or gave a lot of money to the American Heart Association, who then were very, very, were then inclined to promote seed oils in a favourable light, and the term heart-healthy oils became prominent. And also later on, a few decades later in the 1970s, the people were trying to find the cause of heart disease, desperately trying to find the cause of heart disease. And Ansel Keys came along with his 7-country study and declared that it was cholesterol and saturated fats that was the culprit in a much maligned scientific study. And so he started encouraging everybody to eat the polyunsaturated fats in seed oils, and they became more and more popular, more and more prevalent. And with this unhappy coincidence of political agenda, of food industries, of some slightly dubious science, seed oils became everywhere, and they are in everything. Every single processed food that you buy has seed oils in it, and they are really not good for you. Also, how they are made is quite terrifying in itself. You take a natural fat like butter, you milk a cow, and you skim off the cream, and you stir it vigorously, and you've got butter. That is not a highly processed food at all. Similarly with olive oil, you just take the olives and you just sort of give them a bit of a squeeze, and this delicious extra virgin olive oil falls out. It's not a very processed food at all. These are natural foods that are good for us. Seed oils, on the other hand, to get them, you need to first gather the seeds. Then the seeds need to be heated to extremely high temperatures, which oxidizes them so that they become quite unstable. And then when we eat them later on, those oxidized oils cause this lipid peroxide to be released into our cell, which actively wreaks havoc on our cells and damages DNA and causes all kinds of inflammation. So they grab the seeds, they heat them up to extremely high temperatures, and then they have to sort of wash them with solvents, and they wash them with petroleum-based solvents like hexane, and there's always a little bit of hexane left over in the seed oils after they have been processed. And then after that, they're kind of left with this sort of grey, yucky-smelling kind of sludge, and so that grey, yucky-smelling sludge that's full of petroleum byproducts and oxidized fats then has to be deodorized and has multiple processes go in to make it not smell bad. And then a whole lot of other chemicals needed to be added to it because it's very oxidized. It's very likely to go rancid, and bad. And so they add a whole lot of chemical antioxidants and other things to it, which in themselves cause problems. So that's seed oils. And when we eat them, lots of bad things happen to our bodies. So avoiding seed oils is tricky. You basically need to, anything that comes in a packet or a box, you need to think twice. Eating out at restaurants, they will almost always use seed oils. So I try and limit how often I eat at restaurants. I still do, but I limit it. I will go into more detail about other food additives and how to avoid them throughout this week. It is quite horrifying, actually, when you start looking into the dire state of our food environment. But there is wonderfully good news. It's wondrous. The good news is that you can absolutely reclaim your health and heal your body and lose weight and reverse metabolic disease if you eat real food. And although you are swimming upstream, no doubt about it, you definitely have to swim upstream to eat real food. It is easy and doable. This morning, I'm going to have scrambled eggs for breakfast. It's real food. It's easy. For lunch, I'm going to have leftover stew that I made with some lovely beef and vegetables. And dinner, not sure. It'll probably be homemade chili because I've got some mince that I need to use. If you eat real food, your whole body, your entire metabolism realigns, comes back into health. Our bodies want to be in balance and our bodies will rebalance. All right, wonderful humans, have a wonderful day and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.